Good morning, Dr. J. So today I had to think a little bit about all the TV shows and movies and stuff that I watch and how I see the different aspects of masculinity and femininity inside of them in a way that our culture actually reflects that. And so after contemplating several shows, I ultimately decided on the show Scandal. And so basically, Scandal is a television show, and it's all based in Washington, D.C., about the president and a woman named Olivia Pope. And basically, Olivia Pope is his mistress, and she wears what she calls a white hat, which means, she's always doing something for the good. She's always trying to be better and help people for the better. And just the way that people react to the way her personality is, she carries a very masculine personality, because she's very assertive and she has a bunch of leadership skills. And the thing is, in most cultures, most people would see her and they view her as, someone that's cold and emotionless, but most people, they actually view her with respect because of everything she does and the way that she goes against, I guess, gender norms, since she acts so differently. But she's actually not who I wanted to focus on in this aspect. The aspect I wanted to focus on in this case was the way that the male president, who was president first in the first few seasons of the show, was treated, as opposed to afterwards when his wife got elected president as a woman president. And so basically, as a man president, he heard a lot of, you just make the decision, you need to make the decision, it's your decision, you can do what you want, and they basically gave him free reign. But the big difference was when his wife became president. Well, she wasn't his wife anymore, they were divorced, but still, she was a woman, and when she became president, all people saw were her faults, and that all they saw were her downfalls and everything she did wrong while in the presidency. And so basically, people were always trying to tell her what she needed to do, whereas they always gave the decision to him whenever he was president. But in chair meetings, whenever they'd be deciding something for war or something, then they'd always give her suggestion after suggestion after suggestion of what she needed to do, as opposed to asking her what she wanted to do. And so it's just that they trusted a male figure as opposed to a female figure. And then they talked a lot about how is a first lady going to go from being first lady to being president, because her job is to pick out China. What does she know about world trade and world affairs and war and this sort of stuff? But the thing was, she actually, before she got married and became first lady, she was top of her class in law school. So basically, they just didn't view her with as much respect. And then on top of that, a big issue with her was she was also like Olivia, and she had that domineering personality type and the assertive personality type, but people actually did view her as cold and uncaring, and they really just didn't care much for what she had to say. They ignored her feelings, and they basically took her for granted for her intelligence and the things that she had to offer, when she was actually a much better candidate for president, as opposed to her husband, who was president before her. And so she had all these things that made her a wonderful leader, but because the mask she wore, the face she put on, came off as so harsh, they just viewed her as cold and uncaring and emotionless just because she was a woman. Which, her husband was praised for everything he did in office and the way that he acted. And he didn't even do as much as she did, but just because she was a woman and actually taking a stand for what she believed in and what she thought was best, they didn't like her very much at all. And her ratings went down more and more and more throughout her presidency. So yeah, that's basically how gender norms affect the show Scandal and how they play a role in the scandal. And I think they associate to real life pretty well. And I think they're pretty accurate, because some women can get away with not conforming to gender norms, and they can be a man at the table, and they can take their seat, and people still respect them and view them like they do for Olivia. But in other cases, they do view them as cold, and they do just not respect them just because the way they act, because they just don't care. So basically, gender norms play a big role in our society and the way that different people are treated. And so I think the best thing that we can do to change this idea is basically just to go out with an open mind. You can never assume someone's going to act a certain way just because of their gender. We can never assume that someone's a cold-hearted person just because they're a woman and they stand up for what they believe in. We can't assume that a man isn't strong-willed and still has his own beliefs just because he cries and he's a little bit sensitive. Because, I mean, in the end, we all have our differences, and that's what makes us who we are. And it shouldn't matter what your gender is to determine what your personality is, because they're two different aspects. Like, you shouldn't have to conform your personality to gender stereotypes, because just because you are a woman, just because I'm a woman doesn't mean that I shouldn't change who I am. It doesn't mean that I should not be firm in my beliefs. It doesn't mean that I shouldn't make my own decisions, because that's what makes me feel empowered. Basically, I think that we should be able to make our own decisions about who we are and determine our own personality and who we want to be and where we're going in life. So, thank you, and that's all for today.